Welcome to the Amazing Truth Podcast, a podcast where we focus on real issues and have real talk, and as always, provide a biblical perspective. We hope that you will be blessed as you listen.
Welcome to another episode of the Amazing Truth Podcast. This is the Amazing Truth Minute.
This is the Amazing Truth Podcast. The Amazing Truth Podcast. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Stitcher. Like us on Facebook at the Amazing Truth Podcast. The Amazing Truth Podcast. Real issues, real talk.
Welcome to the Amazing Truth Minute. Today's minute is taken from Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 to 30, and it says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." You're going through something today. There's a special invitation, an invitation to come and get rest, an invitation to come and lay all your burdens at the feet of Jesus. You may be wondering, why Jesus? Here's the reason why. Jesus did not suppress one word of truth, but he uttered it always in love. He exercised the greatest tact and thoughtful and kind attention in his intercourse with people. He was never rude, never needlessly spoke a severe word, never gave needless pain to a sensitive soul. He did not censure human weakness. He spoke truth, but always in love. He denounced hypocrisy, unbelief, and iniquity, but with tears were in his voice as he uttered his catching rebukes. He wept over Jerusalem, the city he loved, which refused to receive him. This is the Jesus I want to introduce you to. He weeps at your pain. He rebukes with love. He speaks firm, authoritatively, but with a lot of sensitivity in his words. Come to him and you will find rest. That is the Amazing Truth Minute.
The Amazing Truth Podcast. Real issues, real talk.
Ezra, welcome.
Yes.
Welcome back to the Amazing Truth Podcast, yet another episode. We are glad to be back again. Last week we had Duncan here. We talked about his upbringing, how he lost his dad very young.
Mm-hmm.
He had to move to the States at a very young age, settled or unsettled, whatever you want to call it, at a place where he had to find himself, but he found himself in alcohol. So he's drunk, he's drinking, wakes up in the morning, drinks, goes to work, comes back, goes to a liquor store. And then he has, at this point at age 23 where we stopped, he has 3 DUIs, and one of it is attached with a felony. And he has 48 months hanging over his head. Now, this week, with the feedback we've gotten, thank you so much for the questions. Thank you so much for the feedback. We appreciate that. So this week, we're going to pick up from there and see where we want to just go to the low, just the lowest point of his life. And then we start.
You know, you're saying just a
Come
low
on.
moment. It is low.
It is low. It is low.
It is
Yeah,
low.
The low, the low moment.
The low moment.
And then we start coming up from there. So, without taking much of it, Ezra.
Before, let me just say this. I just read the Truth Minute there. We just read the Truth Minute.
Right.
I just want to reference that part that I read is taken from the book Steps to Christ. I want to give credit to where I read that quote from. So as I say that, Kenan.
Yes, Duncan, we're glad to have you back. Ezra, what so far though? What have you heard out there?
Listen, you know, Duncan. Let me say this to you specifically, and I'm speaking to everyone who has ever sat in the chair that you're seated in here. Is that we've gotten to a place and a point where the feedback is just so much when it keeps on coming.
Yeah.
And every time you listen to people, you realize how much people are hurting and how much people are going through. And I just want to celebrate you. I just want to let you know that your test is your testimony, and your story from last week, from the live that we did, is definitely keeping someone sober for another extra week.
I hope so.
So keep doing that, man. Keep doing that. And I'm sure in the break we'll bring our veteran.
The veteran of the Amazing Truth podcast,
right? On this topic.
Yes.
To tell us where we're going from here.
But so we, again, everybody that's sat in these chairs, we appreciate you. We applaud your courage. We applaud your willingness to be vulnerable. And we appreciate that. Now, Duncan, so at this point you are 23, 24. So where do you go from there now?
So you have the last felony. Right. You've been sentenced to 48 months. Walk us through that journey. Did you end up going to prison, and how did you end up there?
At this time specifically, I didn't go to prison because, like I said, it was downward departure. So they gave me a chance to go back to the community and be on parole. So while they hanging out 48 months on me. So anything that I did will automatically trigger me to go to prison, whether it was not a felony or not. As long as it was illegal, it was going to send me to prison. And what I found out later, I didn't know because I was in a rush to sign off because they had told me, like, hey, you don't have to go to jail today. You get to walk out of here. It was like, those conditions, that's what I would tell anybody who's listening. Whenever somebody tells you to sign something, sometimes try to read what it is. Because that 48 months, that I was going to do 48 months, and then the 5 years conditional release, it starts after the 48 months. So even though it's still running together, but it don't start until because technically they're assuming that you are in prison. So when you get out, the 5-year condition starts after that. So that's basically you have almost 10 years to deal with a felony DUI.
Wow.
That's how the system is messed up. But that is some of the conditions. And they changed it back, I think, in 2006, 2005, somewhere around there, when there was a lot of people catching DUI. So they try to make it tough. So I had 48 months plus 5 years, plus 60. So that's about as much as you can get. So with that, I was, but I was free for that minute, even though I had a felon to deal with. And like I said last time, it was hard to get a job. It was hard to even find housing. So I moved to some of the places in Minneapolis, especially south of Minneapolis, where I've been living for a while now. There are a couple of lenient landlords over there. As long as you explain to them what was the felony, the nature of the felony, and you don't lie to them, they can rent you. So I stayed there, and then, at this time, because I wasn't able to drink alcohol and don't get in trouble, I kept smoking K2, because that was, I was still struggling with my own issues. And I don't know at the time, I didn't know most of the issues that I had besides just drinking. Drinking was just a cover-up. Or smoking was just something that I needed to cover up the pain that I was feeling inside. As growing up in a poor family, and I don't say this to diminish my mom or whatever. My mom did everything to raise us with as much as she had, but growing up with less, it always made me want more. Whether it was money, whether it was clothes, shoes, whatever, a car, I wanted more of everything. Just to make me feel certain ways.
Yes.
So that feeling of not having always made me want something else. And even in that translated to where if I was drinking, I wanted to drink more. If I was smoking,
so it became a principle of life.
Right.
Everything you're doing, you wanted to do.
I wanted to do it big or more.
Yeah.
So that's how I kept going, So I've always wanted more things than somebody else. And the social media, like we talked about before, social media lies to you, and you see so-and-so, say for example, I know Izo, and then Izo is driving a nice car. Then I'm like, man, I need one of them, or I'm better than that, So it just became a thing, and I didn't think it was a big deal, but sometimes that can drive you crazy. But so, that's how... Like I found my life in situations like that, and then I was working jobs in and out, because of that. I fell on some jobs. I can go through a temp agency, get a job, but by the time you're about to get hired on, when they look at your background, and then you let go.
So now you're having issues with housing, you're having issues with your job. What happens to your story in terms of now the 48 months? Do you end up going in, and how did you, if you did, how did you end up?
I did violate,
Mm-hmm.
because I did violate one time
Mm-hmm.
in the process before that 48 was over,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to jail because I was taking a train through Mall America,
Mm-hmm.
and I was high.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'd got into a little argument with somebody on the train. They called the Metro Transit Police,
Mm-hmm.
and I got arrested. I ended up in the county. So
Mm-hmm.
that alone is a violation. Anytime you have contact with the police, is a violation. So but the judge was lenient enough. He sent me to he sent me to prison,
Mm-hmm.
but it was for a short period. He said I needed treatment, and then sent me to Lino Lakes.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a treatment. They have a treatment program over there for like people that have less than 6 months. So I was there for like 3 months, with good behavior and doing a treatment. They let me out again. But this time it's like they let me out into what they call a halfway house.
Mm-hmm.
Halfway house is it's a house, but it's more like a prison.
Yeah.
You get to share a room with somebody, and you got restrictions. You got to be home at this time. If you're not at work, you got to be in the house. If you're going to work, you got to let them know what time you go to work, what time you come back, and things like that. And then, but I was still, even when I got out, I was still with all that frustrations, with all the, at this time I'm feeling like a failure. I'm like, my life is not going anywhere. I might as well now I started to give up in life. I might as well just get as high as I can, just to forget about everything. So I'm getting high now every day, and somehow I don't even remember most of the time where I got the money from, but like I was doing, dirty jobs here and there. I was that's it's unfortunate, but there's times I've panhandle downtown just to get a few bucks here and there, and just get something to smoke or drink. But then that's when I got into one time I was at Franklin in Chicago, and I'm trying to get K2, and somebody assaulted me, but I had a knife on me. I pulled up a knife on them. So when the police were called and got there, I had the knife. He didn't have a knife. So even though he had started the fight, they looked at me as the aggressive person. So I ended up going back to jail. And then, and that's some of the side effects when you're smoking K2, like we spoke about. Like, it can get you really aggravated easily. You can get frustrated so fast. You're not really yourself. So in this time now, I had to do a bunch of time, and there's a lot of things that had happened in between. From the last time I had a felony DUI, but this time now, I was in jail again at Hennepin County, and I'm facing they termed it as first degree assault with a deadly weapon, and something else. So there was like 3 different counts, and but at the end of the day, so basically they just put all those counts together. That way they can catch you on either one of them, because some of them you can explain them away, and if you are in front of a jury, they can understand where that's coming from. But the idea that I had a knife, and they had a knife to show in court that this is his knife, we found it on him. So that was a big deal. So finally, and then I ended up breathing out to what they call threats of violence, because I did not put a knife on this guy, but the fact that I said, like, I can kill you with this knife, so that alone.
So the words, the choice of words that even though you never used the weapon,
right. So then and then they can see the knife, so they said the other person was scared of their life, and so I ended up pleading guilty to that, and then I was sentenced to prison for 34 months. So that 34 months plus the time I had from the DUI, but they put it together that after I served 3/3 of the 34 months, I can be out. So this time, because that is considered as violent crime, I was sent to, well, technically you go to St. Cloud for orientation. Then I was sent to Rice City. Rice City is a level 4 facility. That's like,
Duncan is saying level 4. Me only know hospitals level 1, level 2, level 4.
That's good.
That's good.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's good. Yeah,
but as a social worker, can you explain what is level 4 and bring us home?
It's I think it's based on the severity of crime and the inmates that are in the prison.
Okay.
So Oak Park Heights is maximum security.
that's the level 5.
Level 5. Stillwater is kind of the same.
Stillwater and Rice City are the
level 4. And then Lionel Lakes is medium.
Yeah, it's medium.
So severity of the crime. And I worked at Lionel Lakes at the same program you went to, actually, the substance abuse short-term program. I was doing sex offender therapy there. So anyway, so at what age are you at this point?
So now I'm in my late 20, my early 30s. I forgot I'm 30-something
So
years old now.
10 years from 21 all through 30, your life is chaotic.
Yeah, my life
in and
is
out,
in
and out of jail, and you're in prison now. You have 3 DUIs. You have felony DUI and aggravated assault, terroristic threat. So you're just chaotic. So now you're in prison now. What is going through your mind? Based on the facts that now you cannot use. Address that first. Now you cannot use, and now you're in prison and looking at time. Those two aspects? What was going through your mind?
The mind of an addict. The most frustrating thing when you put in a situation like that is not the time you're serving in prison. It's the fact that you cannot have alcohol or a drug.
Yeah, withdrawals.
It's weird to think about it, but when you're an addict, I'm not looking at the time like, I gotta be here for 34 months or whatever. I'm just looking at it like, damn,
I can't get my next
I
drink.
can't get high. I can't drink. Like that was the only thing that was bothering me the most. But in that process, they force you into treatment because they know what's your problem. They force you into treatment and they tell you there's a caveat on that. They tell you if you do treatment, you can get out of here earlier than otherwise. So, but that means you cannot even talk back to the CEOs. They can tell you, they can call you, whatever. You cannot talk back. You cannot argue with nobody. You cannot do anything that they consider, So it was the most frustrating. And then you have to deal with all the withdrawals now. They don't really give you nothing over there. They just put you in a room by yourself where you're sweating all day, all night, and you. Like, I was itchy for some reasons. My body was all acting out. I broke out more everywhere. It was the most terrible experience I've had. I wanted to die just for it to be over with, but I didn't.
Yeah, and I want us to get this right, that these are consequences of the choices you made.
Right.
We're not trying to take victim stance here.
No.
We were just saying that these are consequences of the choices we make.
Yeah.
There's choices for that. So we don't want to miss that part.
Yeah.
So you're in jail. Now the world is crashing down on you. You're getting these withdrawal symptoms. You can't get high. You're not focusing on time. It's a very, very tough place to be.
Yeah, it's a tough place to be. And especially like what I said in Rice City, the prison over there, you're on a level 4 prison. You have people that are there for different cases, first degree murder, for all kinds of violent people you can think of. You go to the dining room, you gotta look around. You can't just sit anywhere. You have to look around and see who's more friendly you can hang out with. You cannot hang out with certain people. Even the CEOs will get on your case if they see you hanging out with certain people, So there's a whole lot going on in my head at this time, but it's like I just wanted it to be over with. I've never given up in life, but at this time I'm like, man, I wish I can just die now and let it be over with. But I guess it didn't happen. God still loves me, and He wanted me out of there. So so I served the time. Out of that 34 months, I served, I think, 19 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days. So
Did you finish the program?
Yes, I was put in because I said, like I said, because I was into like a fight. So I was put in a program that has what they call anger management. And then I did alcohol and drug treatment. So anger management class took like about 2 months, and then I did the alcohol and drug treatment for about 6 months. But you have to wait because there's other people already in prison, so you cannot just get in the program. They put you on a waiting list. So when somebody graduates from the program, then you get in. So I had to wait. So by the time I got in, I've already been in prison almost for like about a year. And then, so once I finished the program, then you got to go to see like casework. They have a group of people that decide if you can get out or not early. So they decided I can get out, and then that's when they sent me to sober house.
Okay.
Over at Pursuit.
So this is how long did you spend? So
I was
total in prison.
About 19 months.
19
3
months.
weeks and
Okay.
2 days to be specific.
So let me ask a question, Duncan. What is the feeling when they finally release you?
Yeah.
What is going through your mind?
For one, it's different when you've been in prison for that long, because like I said, I don't have friends. Unfortunately, so nobody came to visit me or see me.
Let me say this:
I was there.
you didn't have friends then.
Right.
Now we're here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
when I got out, I was like, oh wow, finally I'm free. Like I just got out, and I just wanted to breathe some fresh air. I mean, you get fresh air in there too, but it's different when you're outside the fence.
Yeah.
So I was excited, and for a moment I thought, like this is a new start of life. I can start over, I can rebuild myself. But unfortunately, that was not the case. When I got out, I was put in what is considered to be a sober house, but still people get high there, people drink there, and everything. And like I said earlier, when you have a felony, you're limited to what you can do and can do. So I was still having trouble getting a job and things like that. So that alone drove me back to drinking and using. And because I had done all this good work of treatment, I was not checked on regularly. So I was able to, I would only go see my PO once a month. So between then, I would drink, I would smoke. And then in 2020, I was in the hospital 3 different times from what was considered almost like an overdose.
Wait, 2020 is last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
walk us through
I
that.
got out of prison
Walk
in
us through
2019, and then I stayed there for a while at this sober house, considered to be sober house, but I was getting high. So I wasn't ready to literally let it go. I was like, man, I can still sneak this here and there, and I was able to do that. And then I ended up in the hospital. Like I think I had too much, I suppose. Most of the time, I don't remember how. I just remember getting out of the hospital, and then so one time I was in the hospital. I was really in a very. It was August of last year. That was the last time I used. I was in the hospital, and I had blood coming out of my nose. I was in really bad shape. I was 129 pounds. I wasn't able to walk myself to the bathroom. It's unfortunate, but I think I peed on myself because I couldn't make it to the bathroom. I was like, forget it. So the nurses had to walk me to the bathroom and back to my room, and it was terrible. And I was going through all the withdrawals, shaking and sweating. My body always gets itchy normally when I'm getting off the withdrawals, but the good thing they put me on some medication, Benadryl, I think it is. I don't remember the name, but so that really helps you like deal with the withdrawals. It's kind of gets you high, but in a different way. But just to get you calm down. So I was there for that. That was the longest I was in the hospital, for about 5 days. So and then after that, by the time I got out of there, they But then I was, homeless now. Homeless, because I, the conditions were like, if you stay in a sober house, it's a sober house. You don't use drugs or drink. But I got caught drinking in my room, so I got kicked out of there. So now I'm homeless.
It is August.
No, before August.
Before August. Okay.
Before August. Yeah. I think that was like March, somewhere around there. So from then, I'm going, like, I don't have nowhere to go. I don't, like I said before, I don't have family or anybody I could stay with. A few people that I know of, I try to call a few people. They're like, no, we don't, Now I'm like, basically I had to call the shelters and, get a place to stay at night, and then I leave in the morning. You get kicked out in the morning before 9 because they have to clean the place and all that. So I'm homeless now. I'm like, life is useless. So there's no point. This time I've given up. I'm like, there's no point of even trying. So I'm not even trying to look for a job or anything. I'm just drink and smoke and just wasting my days away. So until then, that's when I was like, when I got out of the hospital and one of the nurses was like, why are you wasting your time? Why are you wasting your life away? You've been here 3 different times. And, why can't you do something about it? Like, you're just going to keep coming here until you die. You know that, right? I'm like, yeah. So, but that's when I was like, maybe I should just do something and, clean up a little bit and just try to actually find a job. And I know it's hard, but I can find a job. And
so what did she say that really? I mean,
it's the way.
How
it's not what she said.
Right.
It's the way she said it. This was an older nurse, like I would consider to be like a mother. And it's the way she looked at me and said it. She was like, you're a very young man. You don't want to waste your life away just drinking and drugging. This is not going to end well because you've been here 3 times already and your body's not able to handle any more drugs or alcohol. From now on, it's starting, affect your liver and all that. And that's not good news to hear, So I was there for like a good 5 days. So I took a minute to just think about it and, go through like, man, I've been here for 15 years and this is what life is. Like, I was like, I need something different. Like, I want to do something different. And for the first time, for a long time, I can't say it was a prayer, but I was just like, I remember, and I said this before, but I was just literally like, I need to talk to God. And people keep talking about God. I remember God when I was growing up, because I grew up in the church. And I'm like, maybe I need to talk to God because I'm not able to do this by myself. Maybe if God can help me. I mean, people have gotten sober before, and I'm like, maybe I need to talk to God. So it wasn't a prayer, but it was more of me like just asking God questions which he wasn't answering. And I was very mad about that. Like, well, how did you plan? You say you're a God, you plan each and everybody's life. Why is mine this way? Why is my life so messed up this way? Why am I in the hospital about to die? Why this? Why that? But then God sometimes has a very good sense of humor. So I remember I was just laying there looking at the ceiling, and then I was like, after Adam and Eve, we had a choice. And that's why I keep going back to that. Like, we make the first choice to drink or use whatever we want to do. When you get addicted, sometimes you don't have a choice because your body really demands that. But we do have a choice. Even with people that are Christians, they choose to do what they can still do whatever they want to do. But people choose. In each and every one of us, we have a ability to do bad things, and we have ability to do good things. But every day when we wake up, we choose what we're going to do today. So, and then I was like, I chose to want to get drunk. I chose to want to start doing ABCD. So I was like, maybe I can choose not to do that today. Because when I look at a lifetime, like, I can never have a drink for the rest of my life. I can never get high for the rest of my life. I'm like, no, I don't know about that. But I'm like, just for today, and that's what we do. Like when we were talking about the program, a program I'll be going to, they just tell you just worry about today. Don't worry about tomorrow. When you get there, you'll think about it, you'll figure it out. But just for today, I choose to be sober. And that's all.
Ezra, are you hearing kind of a same pattern of that conversation? Our guests
Aizo had that conversation that night.
Rahema had one.
had one. Victor had one.
So
Danko has one. I think if I'm someone who's listening to these friends of our stories, don't wait until it gets there.
Yeah.
If you can have that conversation now, it's Duncan is here just literally preaching. Like I'm listening to him and I'm saying, this is just, I can't argue with that. You can argue with theology, you can argue with the Bible, you can argue, but you can't argue with someone's story. Yeah. Like we were not there that night. We don't know what went on, But the thing that also touched me, Kenan, is that nurse. And I want to shout out to all the nurses out there. Don't go to nursing because it's money.
Right.
Like someone is lying there, you have the chance, not the medication, how you treat them. It's not what she said. It is how she said it.
And literally changed his life.
I don't know who that nurse is. I hope you know.
I went to the hospital, I think in January of this year, but they did not allow me to go in. So I wrote a note and send it to her because of COVID, they don't allow people to go in there unless you're like going there. But her name is Sarah. I remember her name because I said
Sarah.
Sarah, wherever you are, if you do ever listen to Amazing Truth Podcast, we want to celebrate you, want to thank you. We want to go for a break, but as we go for that break, I want to say this. The mother. Duncan came far away from the mom, but he found a mom in that nurse. The voice of that mom. Parents, you are the voice of your children. It's not what you tell them, it's how you tell them. Let's go for a break.
This is the Amazing Truth Podcast. The Amazing Truth Podcast. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Stitcher. Like us on Facebook at The Amazing Truth Podcast. The Amazing Truth Podcast. Real issues, real talk.
At the beginning of this program, we introduced someone as a veteran. Aizo, welcome back again. Amazing work that is going on out here. Amazing stories. What are we talking about doing? What we've talked about the small group. Can you highlight on that small group and then talk about the town hall or something I heard you say along those lines?
Okay. So the small group, the one that we meet on Zoom every Friday, we do plan on meeting once a month. And I don't think we quite highlighted that it's open to everyone. It's open to everyone, and we want to be in each other's lives positively. So you can be in my business, I can be in your business for the glory of God and to make sure that we're doing good. We're being our brothers and sisters keepers.
So one of the things as well, if I ask you, is we talked about we're talking about substance abuse. I think there's something we're planning to do in terms of even finding people who can come and talk more about this substance abuse. Can you talk about that? Like there are parents who hear these things, they don't know. What are we planning to do in one of these town halls meetings in the near future?
Yeah, so there's a lot of parents who've reached out asking for help or for information. There are family members who've reached out. There are friends. Generally, there are people who are experiencing substance abuse once in one way or another. So what we plan to do is a town hall where it's of an informational. So we will have a professional, viewpoint and professional information. We will have first-hand information from people like us who have gone through it. And I believe it will also be beneficial that we have ask a question. Yes. So all are welcome, by the way, and you can also come if you yourself are struggling or know someone. I think it's good for us to keep it open.
And so during the town hall we'll answer questions.
Yes.
Questions. So if you have any question for these guests,
send in advance
so we can prepare them to answer them. But if you don't bring them, you can just bring them at the time.
We will announce the date.
Yeah.
The venue.
Yep.
probably do an RSVP so that we can know the space because of this
Yeah.
COVID. If we have more people interested in that, but come, let us reason together.
Yes.
Come, let us talk. So, want to celebrate Aizo, want to celebrate Victor, want
Thanks
to
for
celebrate
coming through,
Rahema,
Aizo.
Thank you.
you
Thank
know,
you. Thank you.
Duncan. Kenan can bring you the professional side.
Yes.
Yeah, can come and ask the weird questions. From
You're welcome
but
to
you
do that.
guys, you're the ones who have walked the journey.
Exactly.
So we keep on celebrating you guys.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. As we resume to Duncan's story.
The Amazing Truth Podcast. Real issues, real talk.
Welcome back. We are on the tail end of Duncan's story. We are, he's had his comeback moment. God has literally spoken to him through a nurse. And it's how the nurse said this. And she looked at him through his eyes and said, my friend, why are you wasting your life? You are a young man. You can do better things. You can make better choices. Why are you wasting? And then Duncan fights with God and asks God questions. And the answers he didn't get then, but he's getting them now. Now you're getting those answers. So you've had your moment with God. You've gotten your answers. You're getting your answers now. Where do we go now? Take us to the tail end as we go continue.
First of all, I would like to say, I don't know if most people believe in God, but if you don't believe in God, I would ask you to believe in something greater than yourself, whatever you want to call that, first of all. And then I believe in God. When you pray to God, He does not necessarily say yes right away. Sometimes He will say no. Sometimes He will say wait, and all those. So when I talk to God and I'm asking all those questions, I didn't get most of the answers right away. But one thing, when I left the hospital, I remember after having that talk with the nurse, they told me, like, try to stay sober for today. Because the previous 2 times I've been there, I'll leave the hospital and go to the liquor store. Because I'm still, shaking and all that. But this time I left there and I went, there's a church downtown on 11th Street. I went and sat right outside. And it's a very nice church. I was just looking. It's a Baptist church. It's a very nice place you can sit and look and watch people. So I'm sitting over there watching people go by their business, and I'm wondering, like, I wonder what that person is thinking. I wonder what they gotta go after this, because I'm going to the shelter. I don't have a home to go to. I wonder if that person has a home to go to. I wonder what kind of job they do. I wonder what they do at work, and I'm just going through people's life in my head. So I had that moment there. I sat there for a while, and then I ended up going to the shelter that evening, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to write down a plan of what I'm gonna do and how I'm gonna do it. Because I'm looking at, like, I have this limited, and like I said, I have had a problem before asking for help, but now I'm like, I gotta start asking people about things and stuff like this. So I had a bunch of time in my hands that I didn't have much to do, because when you wake up at 8 or whatever and you don't have nothing to do until the end of the day, it's like, okay. So I'm like, I need to occupy myself with something. They have like free classes they offer. They are makers. It's like for job training classes and things like that. So I was like, I can start over there and just take a basic computer skills class and things like that. That will take some of my days, and because by this time I don't even have a phone. I don't have access to internet. I don't have much going on. So I'm like, over there I can use the phone, I can use the computers, and then I get this free class. And then if you get that free class, you also get a free bus guide, so you can ride the bus around the city pretty much. Because I don't have a car this time.
Is that the Opportunity Center?
No, the
Amica.
Amica. Yeah, okay.
So I did that. So I started taking that class, and that's where in the process, they come up every week. They have different job that are opening. They just post them on the wall, and they have what they call felon friendly jobs. They can tell you this one is felon friendly, and this one allows felonies, but specific felonies and things like that. The guy that runs the class is actually well connected to most companies. So that's how I ended up, getting this job where I'm working at here told me that this will work, because I had trained before for what they call plastic engineering, but you're not really an engineer. You do setups and stuff. Unless you get like unless you go and get like a bachelor's degree or something, you're not really an engineer. You do setups. So he had told me like, you told me you know how to do ABCD. It's like there's a job here. I think you can be really good fit. So update your resume and let me send it for you. So he did that. I waited for like 3 weeks. I kept calling them, like I call them every other day. It's like, just keep calling them, They take forever because they receive hundreds of resumes a day. So US is not gonna be so special. It's gonna be just like everybody else's. But I kept calling them, and then one time, I think it was beginning of this year, so they called me and they're like, okay, yeah, we do have this job offer. Do you want to come through and look at this? And I was already preparing for that. So when I got there, because I've been turned down a lot of jobs just because I have a felony. You apply for this, you do everything, and then you get to the point and they're like, hey, because you have a felony on your background, unfortunately, we cannot hire you. That is like, okay, what are you going to do? So, but yeah, I got a job, and, I've been working, and then when I listened to Iso's story, I sent it on your Facebook. That's how I was like, let me click on this. I have some time to kill. I wasn't intending to listen to the story. But I was like,
you're breaking our hearts now.
You are not sitting there waiting for it.
I said, my guy.
I know.
So I know I sent it on your page, and I'm like, is this the same Iso I know? I'm like, let me click on it.
Man.
Yeah, so
man,
that's how I ended up listening to that, and then I was like, man, this is really a moving story, and I'm like, man, I can relate with this guy, and I've known Iso for a minute now, so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna listen to this, and then that's why I reached out to you, like, hey, I know addiction, addiction is a struggle. Trust me. There are days, even like today, when I wake up and I'm like, man, it could be nice. It'd be nice if I can just get high right now, And then, so when I quit, I had to quit drinking. I had to quit smoking cigarettes. Then cigarettes, I didn't quit right away. But I quit smoking K2 and drinking at the same time. I kept smoking cigarettes because I get really aggravated, and it'll help me just to calm me down. But then I got to the point, like, this is an addiction as well. I'm hanging on to, like, if I'm going to quit, I might as well just quit. That's why I drink a lot of water.
But speaking of cigarettes, before that, as we were moving him in on Sunday, I saw this guy was sweating. So I asked him, man, are you okay? And he told me those are the effects of quitting cigarettes. So he was.
Yeah, I'm still actually going through the
withdrawals.
The withdrawals of smoking. I recently stopped smoking, so I'm. This is, my fingers sometimes will be moving on their own.
Remember Victor's story?
Yeah,
that's the hardest thing that he had to quit.
Yeah,
like that cigarettes. So, I mean.
Beautiful story, man.
This is I think so. Duncan picks that call. He calls us, and we have a conversation with him. And you're homeless at that point.
Yeah, when we were speaking, I was homeless.
Homeless, right?
Much, but like, and one of like I told you on the phone, I've learned to be thankful for the little things in life. A lot of things we take for granted. It's like driving privileges. It's not.
So tell us a little bit. I like the fact that you bring driving. Now, I know you're driving now. How did you get? What did it cost you for you to get? So that for anyone who's out there to understand how that process, like what was it?
Once basically you catch a DUI, you lose your driving privileges, and DUI is one of those cases is open and shut. If you refuse to take a breathalyzer, it's a felony refusal, and if you breathe into that breathalyzer and it's more than 0.08, and then that's the evidence right there. You were drunk.
Yeah.
So once they get that either way, they immediately notify DMV, and then within 2 or 3 days you receive a notice in the mail telling you that your driving privileges has been suspended. So once it's suspended, you have to go through a rehabilitation program.
So you went through rehabilitation program.
I did that for 6 months.
6 months.
And then you have to go basically apply to get a new driver's license. And then once you apply, especially with mine being a felony, now you need 5 people that knows you to sign on some paperwork to the DMV telling them that I know this specific person and he hasn't used the alcohol for this time from the time I've known him. And that don't mean that they gonna give you a license. They can say no. But then you also have to pay $600 and $680 reinstatement fee plus another $24 I think to apply for a new license. So it's about $700.
So you're spending
just
$700
to get your license back. And when you get this license back, you have to have your car has to have insurance. You have to.
The breathalyzer.
Is it installed in your car?
No, the breathalyzer. No, I have. Sometimes they install the breathalyzer in your car, but the one I have is in the house. I have to breathe into that 3 times a day.
Okay.
Yeah, so they have to, for a year, they have to monitor and make sure that I'm not using alcohol. Sometimes they put it in the car
before you start.
So every time before you start it, you gotta breathe into that. But the one I have is that a carry-on thing, a little thing. You have to do it 3 times a day just to make sure that there's no alcohol in my system.
But the good news is that you have a license now.
Yeah, I can drive.
So we celebrate that. We want to celebrate now. We've moved from that part. That you have worked hard. You have now a license. You now have a job. You know, you're back to a job.
There's a house.
He's a house. He has a house. Let me steal the thunder here briefly. Kenan, talk about the housing situation. How the whole journey to get Duncan to first of all, Duncan had already found a place, but he wasn't sure. So how do we end up coming in and supporting and helping?
So he does his live, and he breaks the news and tells us on the 19th, I'm moving into my house. I have this caseworker. I've been working on this, but I don't have anything.
Yeah.
So the people come together, a community of friends.
You
guys came
together,
and he was able to get from the bare minimums, like beans in his fridge, to a couch where he can lay, to a TV, to everything, to supplies, to Managu,
and man,
all these things.
Let me ask you, when is the last time you had cooked?
The last time I've cooked, that must be maybe 2016.
Yeah,
2016.
The look I saw when we finished and we prayed in that house. It was amazing.
I was very grateful, and once again, let me say thanks, especially to your mom. She gave me that now resource. That's some good food right there. So, I met some.
The small things we take for granted, man. When Duncan cooked, he sent us a photo.
Yeah,
it's like here's a photo, man. I'm eating good, right?
Yeah, I wasn't able to resist that.
When he got that key, he sent us a photo. Here, me getting a key to my house. Like we celebrate. Man, I mean, Duncan,
and he's adopted now.
Thank you. Shout out. We don't mention names, but there's a family that called and said we want to adopt this man.
And as we went and took him to the house, he found some from his home village. So he's getting friends now. He's building up his friend circle.
He has a family where he go. Where they says they come say, "Come, we'll cook, we'll eat." The mom prayed for him. Duncan. That's why in the podcast he kept on saying, "I didn't have friends. I don't have friends." We said, "Yeah, now you do because he has a family. You might have not given finance,
right?
But your prayers have gone far away."
Yeah, it's the
and that's what I kept also telling you, especially the two of you, that you came over and helped me move and stuff. Sometimes there are even Izo, like on Friday when I was with them on Zoom, the most thing you can give somebody, forget about finances. Everybody, you can get that. You can get a loan, but giving somebody your time, just even if it's 5 minutes to listen and hear what this person is telling you or asking for. That I found that to be more important to me now than it has ever been, because sometimes some of the reasons why some of us get into all this drugs and alcohol is because we don't have somebody to listen to us. We don't have somebody to talk to about some of our intimate problems. You know, some of the things I cannot even share here. I can easily talk to Izo about a problem, say I'm having with a girlfriend or things like that. Just even for him to listen to that and just be like, you don't have necessarily to give me advice. Just listening.
Yeah,
I can come up with something, you know, in the process.
Let
that
me-
always is a good thing.
Let me say this though. If Izo isn't there, I'm not there, Izzy's not there, Jesus is there.
Oh yeah.
He is your only friend.
We were not there in August.
Yeah, we were not there. Jesus is
he was
always
there.
there. You say you believe in God, so He is your number one friend.
Yeah.
We he
human
gives
beings
us
will
the support.
human beings will disappoint you.
Right. You might call me. I'll be doing other things and not
Yeah.
call. But you're in need. But Jesus,
Is always going to be a
that's
friend.
yeah.
Izo.
Let's bring in Izo.
Yeah,
here.
the veteran.
I want to do something. I want Izo to talk to
Duncan.
Duncan.
Yes.
Talk to him about his journey. Encourage him.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to do that. Just have a heart to heart as we finish.
Yeah.
Just talk to him, and Duncan, you're gonna do the same. Just talk to each other. Talk to him, encourage him. You guys have had the same struggle.
Yeah.
You've done well for yourselves. So talk to each other, encourage him, and let him do the same.
You know, I'm really happy to be here today, Duncan. I've been really holding back a lot of tears, and I'm really happy that of where your journey has come. We share a lot in common, from the feeling of loneliness. A lot of people don't understand how you can tell them that you can sit in a church and feel lonely. They're like, how?
Right.
How? You're a born again Christian. How are you sitting in a church and feel lonely? But I'm happy where you've come. I want you to know that you can always relate and call me and that you are a testimony. The shame and guilt for us will have to continue and make sure that it never comes back again. I believe that where you've come from is even tougher than where I've come from, and that the best is yet to come. Honestly, the best is yet to come. 5 years clean now. I'm like, whoa. I wish I knew the best life was at 32, leave alone at 20, trying to enjoy life in the way I thought it was. But honestly, I'm happy, and I can't wait to see how many people hear this story and inspire. I'm happy. We are here. Continue doing therapy. Sorry I was at work, but we made it happen.
Yeah,
We made it happen.
You did.
We made it happen. And even if I'm at work on Fridays, I'm gonna make it happen. My first priority is to be there for others the way God has been there for me.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I do really appreciate that, and like I said, your story is actually what inspired me to even want to talk to us. Right?
Thank you. I'm humbled.
It's good to know that, not that I want a lot of people to go through my experience or to have similar experience, but it's easier for me, say, to relate to you and your experience versus somebody else.
Yeah.
So that actually inspired me, and I'm like, man, if Isaiah has been able to do it this long, I can also do it. And then so you're like my encouragement. So
Thank you.
I'm just following your footsteps, and
Thank
I want to one of the reasons why I was interested in just sharing my story is not because it's an interesting story or whatever. I just wanted to see, I know for a fact that there are people out there that are going through the same experience, or that are on the process of going through the same experience. It's nothing that I like to wish for anybody else, because it makes life miserable to the point where you're like, man, you want to give up. But I think for having stories like this helps, and having that Friday evening group where we get to check on each other and things like that, it's been helpful, to be honest with you. Because I know that these guys genuinely care about my well-being. They're not just calling me to see how terrible my life is, because I've had that before. So I know, I can, I'm a very good judge of character, even though mine is default. I'm very good with judging other people. So so it's been quite an experience. It's a journey. It's not, there's no end to it. This is something for some of us, unfortunately, we've been affected with addiction. this is something we have to deal with for the rest of our lives. But with God's grace and good friends, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it.
Thank you, man. I'm happy.
You know, it's proud to listen. I'm very happy, man. Kenan, you want some Kleenex?
No,
I can get you something. But seriously, in all honesty,
He got something in his
there's
hand.
no shame in sharing that here because these is the success stories we want to hear.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to put a good picture out there, but we know we're all broken.
Yeah.
We know we all need help. I want to say that two things I want to say for the listeners out there. Remember, these gentlemen, we will not sit here and say they are done. It's one day at a time.
Yeah.
Right? You still heard Duncan say that his fingers still wiggle, right? So don't be there to just watch and wait for him to go down, but be there to help when that struggle is there. Because we know that, the battles are always going to be there. Number two, I want to say, Kenan, one of the things that made me so proud of these guys was this Friday.
I know. Yeah.
This Friday, for some reason, you and I were running errands. I don't know why we are running to all this. So, like usual Friday night, we're supposed to be the group.
Yeah.
But I was so proud when I joined the Zoom and I found you guys there and just engaging and having a conversation. And, I stepped back and I told myself that these guys are amazing. It's not about you. See, it's you. It's not us. Just even, it's not that we're doing anything spectacular. Just creating that platform and you guys just logging in and we logged in and you guys were just having conversation and you're talking and we're done this. Keep that up. You don't have to wait until Friday. If you can do it midweek or whatever it is, it doesn't have to go through this, but just make sure that support system is there and is going. So want to celebrate you guys. Victor is running. He's out there running. He got Duncan to go run today.
Yeah.
So I know that's not your strong suit.
No.
But it's even worse for Kenan. But we have soccer coming. We have soccer coming
on TV.
Soccer is
We have
pretty
soccer.
much-
We have soccer.
yeah,
Maybe we should
pretty
give a
much
shout out to
getting
Simba
out.
there out and
Simba,
homeboys.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What's the group called?
Simba United, have they paid for this disclaimer?
They have been playing.
Simba United, I know
There's another group, the Clinton's group.
they know themselves.
They know themselves.
Yeah.
There's another group. We just want to advocate
Yes,
for any group
and
that
no.
will get guys out there to
Exactly.
bond and exercise and to play and do something.
And that's
We're
a
not
good point.
competing.
Is that we're not mean. That's a spot where that's a place where people come.
Yes.
It's not a podcast.
Yes.
It's out there in the field.
Exactly.
It's important.
So there's that Sunday spot where guys go play soccer. There's a team called Simba. There's another. Why am I forgetting? Look for a guy called Cream Squad, Clinto. There's another team. There's the running that these guys do early in the morning. What's the park called?
Lake
Lake Calhoun.
Budema Casca.
now they changed it.
Casca. Yeah, that name.
We'll put it
Sunday
on the
8 in the morning.
Yeah.
So find something productive to do. Don't sit and just drink your problems away. So closing
All right,
remarks.
closing remarks. These gentlemen, we don't want to water what they've said, so we'll just finish there. I have three things very quickly. I want to add this: check on one another. It's important to check on a friend, give them that phone call, check on each other. And I want to borrow what Duncan said. He said the nurse told him to be sober for that day. So be sober for today. It can be sober from social media, sober from drinking, sober from whatever it is that's positive. Be sober for that one day. And I want to leave you with this quote. It says, there's no shame. This is a picture I got from somewhere. It said, there's no shame in beginning again, for you get a chance to build bigger and better than before. And that, anything else? That is the Amazing Truth podcast for this week. And we hope that you'll join us for the next one. God bless you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Amazing Truth Podcast. We hope you were blessed as you listened. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. God bless you, and see you on the next one.